Hey, futurist Jim Carroll. I haven't been down here in a while. I've been not in the studio doing other things, and I came down and I'm filming a thing today, and there's things not working right. So I don't know if this is going to work or if this is going to fail. I just got the headphones on here to test the levels, make sure the sound is good, and then I'm going to go back and hang out my stage. And I'm filming the thing around the acceleration gap. If you hang around to the end, leave a comment. I might be able to come back to the desk here and address those comments. But I'm going to go back to my stage and film this thing, and hopefully it will all work because I haven't been down here in a while. It could be an epic disaster. Hey, futurist Jim Carroll from the virtual broadcast studio, and I want to talk to you about the acceleration gap. Look, over 25 years, a lot of organizations have brought me in, and their biggest challenge is they are dealing with a world which is changing extremely fast, and they're structured for slow. They're the tortoise running in this extremely fast race, and that's why I brought out this topic page recently, all about bridging the acceleration gap. What do we need to do to align to a new reality in which a change is coming at us faster than ever before? That's the reality going forward. And I want to spend a few minutes to put it into context. Here's what's up. Look, we've been dealing with a world in which the future belongs to those who are fast. It's the ability of organizations to align to fast-paced trends which will define their future. And that's the type of issue that organizations like NASA and Disney and Johnson and Johnson and Pfizer and global leaders brought me in for, to shake up their management team, their leadership team, their global operations, to think about this world of fast-paced change. Well, look, the acceleration gap is simply that the pandemic has sped up every single trend that existed before the pandemic, and it's introduced a whole variety of new trends. And so while we were dealing with the issue of velocity and speed and agility and flexibility before, the gap between the pace of change and our ability to keep up with it is becoming faster. So we're in a situation which organizations already recognize they have a dilemma in front of them. That dilemma has become bigger, it's become more real, and the impact is far more dramatic. And what you need to do is you need to bridge that gap. You need to ensure that you can keep up with the pace of change. And I'll give you 3 examples of just how stark this gap is. FedEx expected they'd be in a situation in which they would be shipping 100 million packages per day by 2026. They're probably going to hit that this year because what they've seen is a dramatic change, obviously, with e-commerce and supply chains and everything that has occurred. They're in a situation in which the gap between a reality is growing. A world of healthcare knowledge, medical science, pharmaceuticals, healthcare organizations. We were in a situation pre-pandemic where the volume of medical knowledge was doubling every 8 years. It's now doubling every 78 days. That's another example of the gap, because our ability to keep up with fast emerging new forms of pharmaceuticals, new forms of diagnostics, new medical technologies, new expectations with the consumer, the complete re-engineering of the healthcare sector as a result of the pandemic. I mean, these are extremely real trends that we have to manage. And the third example, consider supply chains. We've really gone from a world of just-in-time inventory to a world of just-in-case inventory, because supply chains, globalization is broken, and organizations are scrambling to get the right product at the right time for the right purpose. We're seeing this from all kinds of different perspectives, and this is exacerbated by the issue of speed, for example, with what automotive manufacturers are dealing with in the context of a chip shortage. All of these trends are real, and it's leading us to a situation in which your assumptions about the future are increasingly out of date. You need to bridge the gap in order to go forward. And let's put the reality of these trends into perspective. What has happened in our world? Well, we've seen a situation where we've had this massive change, unexpected change in consumer behavior. Business channels are evolving quicker. This certainly is one of the impacts of the pandemic. We've had this real mismatch between our ability to meet customer expectations and where those customer expectations are. These are examples of the gap, the reality of the trends occurring quickly and what you need to do to align to them. Look, we're in a situation in which, to a degree, customers are moving faster than you are in terms of their ability to source products, source solutions from multiple different organizations. If you can't meet their expectations in terms of service, online reality, shipment notifications, all these things, you increasingly are falling behind. You think about the impact of the gap. It means that increasingly your planning cycle is going out of sync. You can't keep up with the pace of change. Your product innovation is falling behind because one of the impacts of the last year has been that product innovation has accelerated to meet new demands, new requirements, faster change in terms of supply chain. The timing issue has become far more complex. One of the biggest challenges for organizations pre-pandemic was to figure out the timing of the future. Well, now that's gone out the window because timing has become the real challenge, because predicting when any particular trend is going to go real, going to go supernova, and have a significant impact has become far more difficult than it was pre-pandemic. What we've seen is that the impact of weak leadership has more impact today than ever before. If you didn't have a leadership team which was aligned to the ability to move fast, you found yourself falling behind during these crazy pandemic times. The impact of wrong decisions has become bigger than it was before. These are all the challenges that you might be suffering from, that you are up against in trying to move fast. The quicker relevance of your strategic planning, because in a world in which change is happening faster than ever before, how do you make sure that your strategies are keeping up to date with what you need to do to align to new realities? It's resulted in a massive increase in the bar of expectations in terms of how you do business with your suppliers, with your customers, with your staff, with your employees, with just about everybody. Can you meet this ever-increasing bar of expectations? What has really happened here is it's laid bare the impact of sudden demand shift, and it's exposed the weaknesses in your logistics, in your supply chain, in your process, in everything you do. What the pandemic has done is it has highlighted the workforce skills gap, which you were already dealing with pre-pandemic. It's indicated where you've got significant shortages in required skills, whether that's e-commerce or logistics or shipping or manufacturing or just about anything. Take an inventory of all the areas where you've said to yourself, if only we had this type of person, indicating where you've got holes in your structure. It laid bare the inability of slow-moving organizations to deal with a fast-paced future. Let me re-emphasize that and think about this phrase. It laid bare the inability of slow-moving organizations to deal with a fast-paced world. That's what the pandemic has done. And that's the nature of where the gap is coming from. I want you to watch a little video clip that I put together when SAP had me in for a global financial conference a couple of years ago. We're actually filming this clip about the fast runners and the slow-paced turtle. It puts into perspective your potential reality. What is real is that we are running into a world of faster change with a massive boat anchor holding us back from doing what we need to do to align to this faster future. We're putting in place these barriers. We're hiding behind walls in terms of our ability to keep up. And that's what we need to bridge with the gap. What I'm doing is I'm now putting in perspective for organizations who previously were dealing with the issue of fast-paced change, what they now need to do to bridge the gap. They need to understand how the gap is increasing, where it's increasing, the impact that has upon what they can do as they go forward into the future, and what they can accomplish by managing to bridge the gap. I want you to think about what the winners through the pandemic have managed to accomplish in terms of their strategy, in terms of their skills, in terms of their capabilities. What happened to a lot of organizations is they had a better appreciation for the impact of digital transformation. My running joke has been that who led your digital transformation? Your CEO, your CIO, your CTO? No, it was COVID-19. Organizations now understand the impact of digital transformation, and if you aren't one of them, that's the type of gap that you are faced with. Think about what happened during the last year as we increasingly moved fast. Organizations banished and eliminated committees. They banished and eliminated all the things which provided us for slow-moving structure in a world that was fast. They were in a situation in which they learned how to accelerate external partnerships. If we don't have the right skills at the right time, for the right purpose, for the right situation, let's go get those skills. And what this has done, it has forever transformed their understanding of what they can accomplish in terms of taking on fast-paced issues. These are your new competitors. It provided organizations with a new ability to implement a very fast change to process, whether it's manufacturing process or the process of getting things done or the process of working something through their bureaucracy. It helped them understand that they can work in new and different ways. Really what it taught them is how do we assemble fast, nimble teams. The world of Zoom conference calls led to a situation in which fast-moving organizations realized that they could bring together a fast-moving team in an instant and take on new challenges, new situations, new complexities, and manage those issues extremely quickly. It led them to a situation in which they were dealing with faster business model disruption. There was no time to study the impact of the disruptive trends around them. They simply had to deal with the reality of what was occurring. It led them to a situation in which they saw the benefit of faster decision making. They cut through the bureaucracy. They cut through the slow-moving process, which held them back from pursuing a fast-paced future. It led them to a situation in which they saw the impact of a flatter structure. We could do so many things by eliminating the layers which were in place, and this became a part of our ability to move quickly. They learned something new about how to deploy at speed. They always understood that the future belonged to those who were fast, and they got a sudden new appreciation of what that truly meant. These are staggering trends. It accelerated their ability in terms of product innovation. It led to a situation in which it saw the death of management by PowerPoint, which is probably one of the few good things to come out of the global pandemic, because CEOs and leaders realized we didn't have time to study these things to death. We didn't have time to put together pretty PowerPoint decks. We simply needed to get things done, and we need to do it now. Organizations have learned something new about how to test and manage their supply chain resilience, such that resilience, managing volatility, has become a core focus going forward. They learned to implement an extremely fast change to process. This is the gap that you're faced with. If you haven't done these things, if you haven't learned these lessons, you're now in a situation in which previously the future belonged to those who were fast. The future now belongs to those who are faster. And you need to bridge the gap. And how you do that is you quantify the gap, you understand the trends in your industry. Where is change occurring faster than ever before? What are the trends that are now redefining your future? Where do your weaknesses exist? Where do you have disruptive thinking barriers? Where do you have innovation barriers? And what are the strategies and action plans that you need to pursue to deal with this reality? And that's what I'm covering in this keynote, which is found on my site. I want to close by playing you this clip that I put together for this SAP Global Financial Conference of what happens in a world in which you're dealing with extremely fast-paced change and you're the tortoise running in the race. It's kind of interesting to watch because BASIC was launched on the world on this day in 1964. And that's really one of the boat chains which is holding back organizations from pursuing a world in which the future belongs to those who are fast. Give it a watch. Thank you for watching. Oh, and look at that. I didn't get to it. Hey, you want to know a really fun fact? One Wall Street Journal article recently suggested that some 60% of global bank and insurance companies' business systems are still running on COBOL. An article in CIO Journal suggested the number is 80%. I don't know about you, and even if these numbers are true or not true, what is real is that we are running into a world of faster change with a massive boat anchor holding us back from doing what we need to do to align to this faster future. I'm Jim Carroll. I'm a futurist trends and innovation expert, and I spend my time with organizations worldwide putting into perspective the fast-paced trends which are completely changing industries at a furious pace. Organizations like New York Life, Wells Fargo, the National Australia Bank, Lincoln Financial, Anthem Healthcare, Chubb Insurance, and all kinds of others have had me in for high-level insight on how to respond to a world in which the future belongs to those who are fast. All of these organizations know that they need to align themselves to an era in which agility, flexibility, and their ability to respond to these fast-paced disruptive trends will be absolutely critical to their future. They know that they need an engine and an infrastructure of growth that will give them the insight and the capability to innovate in a world of incessant, relentless change. And so while we might have a lot of legacy systems in place, think about the trends sweeping the financial services industry: blockchain, artificial intelligence, analytics, the Internet of Things, accelerating consumer and customer expectations, the impact of mobile technologies. You are involved in a tsunami of absolutely relentless change.